God, the struggle is real when you are trying to find a decent bloody lighting setup for this. I don't think I could possibly have anything more ghetto. I've got the old light sitting on this side over here, and on the other side I've got this plate that I've just had my sandwiches on, hoping to reflect the light, just because I figured it was a bright enough color, but not really doing that great of a job. But anyways, point of the video here is I wanted to update the Deskbot list because the other one was shit. And I also wanted to upload a video just to see how quickly I would be able to upload said video now that the mode of my house has moved around. So it's a lot closer to my computer. It might not actually be anything to do with my signal strength or anything like that, but I'm hoping that that just is the case. So I guess if anything, I'm just going to have to go through this and then see what the hell happens at the end. If anything, you can just accept this as an updated version of this list. It is very much theory brew though. I have not actually tested this in the slightest. I had planned on testing this tomorrow when I go to locals. Even though I probably should be using that locals to test for my LLDS tournament that's coming up, I think either this weekend or the next. I'm not entirely sure. But let's cut the lollygagging and actually get on with this. Many ratios have changed. Many things have been fixed up with the deck. It looks actually just on. If you take a look at this deck on paper, it looks a lot more solid than the other one. So still playing the two Deskbot ones. I still think that this is really just the perfect number at the moment. You don't want one because you really want to have two of them in your deck to do the Beast Barkion combo that I alluded to in the previous list. The problem is having three means you're more than likely going to draw this, and it's going to be really shitty if you don't have any other Deskbots to work with. This relies on having its teammates with it in order to get big. So I think two is a good number because you don't draw into it that much. You'd much rather get it out with either 3 or 4, ideally 4. 2, on the other hand, as much as it's good for searching, it's only good when it's special summoned. So when you draw into it, it's really, really bad unless you like want to discard it for something like that. But I wanted to minimize the draw power of this, but it is still a integral piece for the Beast Barkion combo, which is why I couldn't cut it completely. I was pretty happy with it too. I just wanted to have some stuff other than the ancient gearbox to discard with Wing Blast. 3 Deskbot 3 this still has to be run at 3. This is actually the only one that I'm running at 3 now. I've actually cut down on Deskbot 4s. I'm down to 2 of these. Just because, again, this is not something that you really want to be drawing into. You'd much rather, like, it's fine if you have this, but not a Deskbot 3, because then you can just summon and then just run over stuff. But Deskbot 3, but the combination of these two will help facilitate even more plays, because, like, if you get 4 off of 3, then you've got your Beast Barkion combo. And so I'd much rather see the 3 as opposed to the 4. I'd like to just get the 4 out through the 3, which is what makes 3 like the most integral piece of the entire deck. Then running 2 Deskbot 5s. Now, I feel like this card's a bit of a risk versus reward sort of thing. You kind of got to manage that. At 1, you can't be any less likely to draw into it. The problem is, though, I actually did draw into it in that Cosmo match that I lost, and that's exactly what lost me that game and eventually that match. So while throwing a second one in here doubles my chances of drawing into it, if I do draw into one, I know that I've got another one in the deck that I can ditch through Deskbot 4. Plus, it ensures that Deskbot 5 can get over 2 towers. Because I can't ditch Deskbot 4 itself with its own effect. But if I ditch Deskbot 5, it at least will either crash into it, or if it's special summoned through Deskbot 3, will just get straight over it. From there, if you can just neutralize their scale, you can just set up Beast Barkion and they just auto die pretty much. Because any sort of skill drain or any of that crap that they try to drop onto you, you just Barkion it, and then any pendulum scales that they activate is food for Beast. But yeah, this is also good because it's an MST on legs, and if you get that out pretty quickly, is it normal or it's normal or special summoned, so it doesn't actually have to be pendulum summoned, which is good because we don't have Deskbot 6. and I don't actually plan on doing another profile of this until that next set comes out. We get Deskbot 6 and Deskbot Jet. Gone down to 2 Cyber Dragon. The supporting cast has been cut down pretty much a considerable amount. The whole monster lineup, I think it was around about 18 or 19 in the previous build. It's now down to 16. Gone down to 2 Cyber Dragons. I didn't see it that much at the Thursday tournament. I think the only reason I have it in here still now is just because it makes for a very quick Trishula if you have it, and if you have it in 3. Still sticking with the 2 Augur because I don't want to open multiples. I open up with this a fair few games, so I'm considerably happy with this. I am down to 1 Ancient Gearbox because the thing with Ancient Gearbox is if you go Augur and search box, if you can make the guy again on the same turn, you pretty much are only going to be able to search another Deskbot. So, and because you can't use you can't just go box and then box again because you can only use it once a turn. So, and I'd much rather, like, because if I'm only going to use one of these, then there's the other one in the deck that's probably going to be dead if I draw into it, unless I search it through another means, and I usually don't get that second search. So I've cut the box down to 1. It just gets that out of the deck. It just gets these 3 out of the deck if I can open with this and machine duplication, because it just gets all 3 of these out of the deck, and then I'm more likely to draw monsters that I actually want to see. So, speaking of machine duplication, that's what's going to start off the spell lineup. Again, it is absolutely necessary. This is another integral part to the Beast Barkion combo. If you open this and Deskbot 3, you have Beast Barkion. Assuming you go second, because you need Deskbot 4 to kill an opponent's monster. But if you do that, you've got both Beast and Barkion on board in that one turn. Then Upstone Goblin helps speed into that combo. Same thing with Chicken Game. And then the last 2 spells I'm running are Soul Charge, Raigeki. Raigeki is just basically that button that you just push to be like, fuck that, fuck all your board. Soul Charge, on the other hand, is not entirely necessary. I thought I'd give it a go. If at the very least I could get special summon a 2 with this, search a 3, summon that 3, get a 1, and then make Barkion. I don't even need to attack, because from there I can pretty much just shut down the bulk of my opponent's traps. I mean, the only thing that I'm going to have to worry about, even with Barkion on the board, is Alpha. So that's about it. Traps, 3 Mirror Force may seem a bit excessive, but again, it's like a theory brew. I figured I'd just give this a bit of a go. I actually was at 39 for a while and just decided to throw the 3rd Mirror Force in there because I couldn't think of any other better traps to put in. I cut Wing Blast down to 2 just because there's less discard fodder for it. 2 Breakthrough Skill. I was contemplating switching this out for Fiendish Chain, and I might still do that. And well, you'll obviously won't know until November, because that's when the next profile of this is likely to happen. Torrential, Compulse, Spotless, Warning, Emptiness, and Avarice is the one-offs. I still think that Avarice is pretty decent in this deck because you're going through the your resources a bit too quickly. I mean, like the previous list went through them too quickly because there was just too much search power. That's the problem with my major problem with that deck, aside from the incredibly shoddy extra deck, which has been fixed up to brilliance now. Everything else is pretty much just standard sort of stuff, gets over certain issues. Now for that extra deck. Still playing the Gaia Dragon, still playing the Volcasaurus, not playing the Durandal anymore though, because I just figured Volcasaurus was just better. I think I'm more of just of an aggro sort of style player, so I'm just like, yeah, I'd much rather have the burn damage as opposed to just sort of sitting around on a Durandal. Either that, or I just don't know how to use Durandal to its full extent. So yeah, finally got a second-rate 4 in there. I went for Honor Arc as opposed to other stuff. Castell was actually pretty good, but Honor Arc can pretty much do what Castell does. The only thing that this is weaker in against is Shadows. You'd much rather have Castell to get rid of the construct as opposed to Honor Arc, because when the Honor Arc dies, the construct will get the effect and blah 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 blah. I was actually down to choosing either this or Maestroke. I chose with this just because of its own effect. Maestroke, all it can really do is book a mood stuff. Yes, it has a bigger butt, but This one, not only can it attack, it's also got its other effect, which a lot of people pretty much will know about. I don't have to explain too much about that. If I really wanted something defensive, I mean, like the best defensive card at the moment is arguably Giant Hand, but this is Giant Hand. But when we talk about Giant Hand, you already know why you're not seeing that in this list, because screw shelling out $600 for it. And then lastly, Gigant. Now I don't actually have to always go into Gigant. I can choose to go into Honor Arc as a defensive wall. So that's a good thing as well. Still maintain it would have been awesome to have a Giant Hand, but again, $600 plus. Fuck that. Yeah, Synchro. Starreed is my only 11. Leo is my only 10. Trishula, it's still my only 9, just because there was that much room. I couldn't even keep Herald of Arclight in this deck. So fitting my Mistworm in here was pretty much just not going to happen. I mean, unless I cut one of my level 8s, but the level 8s basically sort of like a yin-yang to each other. This one attacks, this one defends. It just works like that. Then we have Clearwing of Black Rose, which is sort of like another yin-yang sort of thing. This one just attacks. This one just sort of blows shit up. Then I've Gordio Guardian, and then there's the Barkion, as well as the Beast, and then lastly I have the Armades. Just going to get through that because I want to now show off how one can make these two on the first turn. So let's set those aside. Now, literally the only 2 cards that you want to open with to make this combo is a 3 and a Machine Dupe. Let me just check to see if that's still recording. Yes, it is. Okay. So you want 3 and you want duplication. So the idea is you want to summon 3 first, and you use 3's effect to get 4 out of the deck. You then enter your... you have to go second for this. You want your opponent to have a monster. So you then swing with Deskbot 4. Depending on what the opponent's attack power is, you may just be able to use 4's effect. You may have to combine it with 3's effect. You may even just want to use 3's effect just to give it more damage. But you want 4. We're just going to randomly send, hell with it, Deskbot 5. We want to put more damage on the board. We kill the monster, and then we use the effect. The effect will get a Deskbot 2 and a Deskbot 1. You want to use 2's effect. The only real thing you want to be searching with 2 is another 3, so that you can do more combos. So you've got your 3 there. From there, you go to main phase 2, and then you Machine Dupe, targeting your Deskbot 1 and special summoning the other one out of the deck. So from there, you can use one of those with a 4 to make Beast, and then the 1, the 2, and the 3 will then sync together and make Barkion. And you then basically have enough stuff in your graveyard so that if you've opened Avarice, the Jar of Avarice, you can set that and then just immediately use it as soon as you are able to, and just recycle all this stuff back. If not, of course, you could always just leave it in there and banish it for Barkion's effect. You know, it would be nice to actually have remembered that, but, you know, there you go. If you have Avarice, then feel free to use Avarice. Just use it at your own peril, because it may cost you your stuff. I mean, unless you're negating stuff with Beast, because then you just maintain food. So that is it for this list. Once I sort all these bloody cards back into their correct positions and whatnot, this may take just a little while. Actually, why don't I just put one of each one on the table in front of me just to end the video? So that is the list containing the first 5 of the Despots. Like I said before, not going to do another list of this until 6 and Jet come out in the next set. That's not going to be until, I think, early November, somewhere around that. So I guess that's about it. I actually kind of want to now, thinking about it, if Norden would be a decent idea. I think it only works on level 4 monsters, though, like for its effect. So it actually might be good for Deskbot 4. I'm also thinking of a more Xyz-based build that runs Tannhauser Gate, which, if you don't know, targets 2 monsters with same type and 1,000 less attack, and then adds their levels together and they become that level. So, for example, if I did these 2, I could make 7. I could overlay these into something like a Big Eye or Flame Metal or Dracosac or something like that. That would be interesting. It's just the only issue with that would be the extra deck because I've only got 15 slots and I have to fit in cards that could be so many different ranks. Like these two can make a 5, these two make 4, these two can make a 9, so I could put Dyson Sphere in here for lols. But if you're interested in seeing that, I will try to pull something together. It may be janky as all hell, but if people are going to be interested in it, then I might as well give it a go. So you know where to leave that. If you're comments of interest for that. And until that time, or the time I actually do another video of any variety, I shall bid thee adieu.